This is KGW News at Sunrise.
And I just want to really stress that it was a hate crime. This is nothing more, nothing less.
That is the sister of a man whose family says was stabbed to death in Southeast Portland while trying to protect his friend. Coming up, we'll have more on the suspect in this case, who's set to make his first appearance in court today. And we'll also bring you the latest on two separate shootings from this past weekend that also happened in Southeast Portland. President Joe Biden, meanwhile, traveling to Europe this week for the NATO summit. He's calling for countries to send more resources and weapons to aid Ukraine in its war with Russia. But the president is getting a lot of pushback from other leaders, both abroad and here at home. And this morning, we are also live in Las Vegas. How about that? Wow. The Blazers are in Las Vegas this weekend and also later today. Talking about the NBA's Summer League. So the number 3 overall pick in the draft made his pro debut on Friday. We'll have more on that. We're also going to have more on the top overall pick in this year's draft. And we're not going to do it alone, Rod Hill.
We're not.
Orlando Sanchez, who was on our 11 o'clock news late last night, is going to join us live. I'm thinking maybe he didn't go to sleep.
It's Vegas, man. Nobody goes to sleep.
Why would he go to sleep if he's traveling and working in Las Vegas? So that live report from Orlando coming up, and I'm glad he's here because without him, it would just be the two of us.
It's lonely. I do have a pretty active weather morning. Let's get to that. We've had lightning strikes overnight move through the gorge, and right now it looks like the main lightning threat has moved east of the Dalles. This is going to continue pushing eastward over the coming hours. It's just cloudy and quiet here on the west side. We do have high fire danger, red flag warning because of the lightning that we've had and also gusty west winds today. This red flag warning for high fire danger starts in Hood River, goes to the Dalles, and you can see it's up through the Columbia Basin. So we'll keep an eye on that. Here on the west side, very quiet. You might notice a little mist or some trace of moisture out there at some point this morning. We have thick morning clouds covering our area, 61 degrees. Everybody's cloudy. Salem, Portland, up through Kelso, Longview. And check out your Monday. So you're getting going. It's going to be a cloudy day, still 66 at noon. Now, some of you may get a little sunshine later today, but it's one of those days, no guarantees. Temperatures will stop in the 70s as you get your day going. Drew?
All right, Ryan, we'll check back in with you here in a few minutes. But right now, we want to let our viewers know about a traffic alert. Expect more bridge lifts than usual today and tomorrow on the Hawthorne Bridge. We're talking about 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Again, this is today and tomorrow. Multnomah County officials say that's because crews will be doing annual inspections on the bridge. How about getting to our top story this half hour? More cases of gun violence in Portland over the weekend as police investigated 2 separate shootings in Southeast Portland, along with a deadly crash. Here's KGW's Blair Best with a breakdown of what happened.
It was another violent weekend in the Rose City. Just after 10 p.m. Saturday, Portland police responded to this rollover crash at the intersection of Southeast 102nd Avenue and Washington Street, between a bank and a gas station. 2 cars crashed. Police say one of the drivers had been shot, and a passenger had serious life-threatening injuries. Despite officers giving CPR on scene, that passenger died at the hospital. The person who was shot was also taken to the hospital and is still recovering. At this time, police believe the shooting happened before the crash. No arrests have been made. This is the 34th fatal crash in Portland this year and the 6th in just the last 16 days. Then, early Sunday evening, just before 4:30, Portland police responded to a shooting on Southeast 174th Avenue. A man had died by the time officers arrived. No arrests have been made in this case either, but Portland's homicide detectives are investigating.
All right, there is one more note we need to get to in regards to that story from Blair Best. Portland police have not identified the victims or named any suspects in either of these cases. They ask that anyone with information give them a call. Meanwhile, the suspect accused of stabbing a man to death last weekend is expected to appear in court this afternoon. U.S. Marshals arrested the 24-year-old suspect on Friday. He's charged with murder in the death of 32-year-old Colin Smith. This happened back on July 2nd, again last Sunday. Family tell us that Smith was hanging out with friends at a bar after work when the suspect came up to the group and started making homophobic slurs. They say one of Smith's friends is a member of the LGBTQ community, So Smith stepped in to defend them.
I know he was probably trying to just de-escalate and get this person to move on, and that's when he was killed.
They say they're investigating the stabbing as a hate crime. There is a GoFundMe set up to help the family pay for funeral expenses. We have a link posted in this story at KGW.com. Time to get to a few of today's national headlines. Multiple agencies are still looking for a Pennsylvania inmate suspected in several crimes, including the murder of a New York woman. Police say Michael Charles Burnham escaped Friday using tied-together bed sheets. Burnham is said to be a survivalist skills expert and is comfortable living in wooded areas. Coming up on the Today Show this morning, they'll have the latest on leads and supplies that were found at an unidentified campsite. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden is in London this morning to meet with King Charles. This is ahead of the NATO summit that begins tomorrow in Lithuania, where the war between Ukraine and Russia will be the center of attention. NBC's Alice Barr has the details.
President Biden touching down in London Sunday night ahead of talks today with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and a meeting with King Charles. The leaders looking ahead to this week's NATO summit with a central focus on supporting Ukraine's fight against Russia while stopping short of granting Ukraine NATO membership.
I don't think it's ready for membership in NATO, but here's the deal. I spent, as you know, a great deal of time trying to hold NATO together.
If they were hypothetically to get NATO membership now, well, then NATO's at war with Russia.
Also testing NATO's solidarity, President Biden's decision to send cluster munitions to Ukraine. More than 2/3 of alliance members have banned the weapons because of a history of detonating after battle, injuring or killing civilians. Many fellow Democrats oppose the move.
Cluster bombs should never be used. That's crossing a line.
President Biden saying the weapons he authorized won't be used in civilian areas and have a low rate of misfiring.
It was a very difficult decision on my part. And by the way, I discussed this with our allies, discussed this with our friends up on the Hill.
He called Russia's brutal assault a war of munitions and said Ukraine was running out. Some Republicans criticizing the administration for not acting sooner.
As you look at the counteroffensive, it's been slowed tremendously because this administration has been so slow to get the weapons in.
Key tests this week for the NATO alliance and President Biden's influence on the world stage. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
All right. Tonight we will find out the winning numbers for the Powerball drawing. This is a big deal because the jackpot is now at $650 million.
Oh, mama.
Rod making a call to his mom over this one. There have been 34 consecutive drawings without a jackpot winner. That's why it's grown so big. The last winner took home $252 million back in April. So right now, if you combine the Powerball with the Mega Millions jackpot, both combined are sitting over $1 billion. Mega Millions is estimated right now at $480 million, and that drawing is happening tomorrow night. So it could be a big week, especially if you hit both.
Yes.
Get ready for one of the biggest shopping events of the year. Talking about winning money, and then we go to spending money. Oh. Amazon set to kick off its 9th annual Prime Day tomorrow. Members can score some big deals, some exclusive deals and savings. The event goes tomorrow and Wednesday. Prime Day so big, it requires 2 days. And the Today Show will have a guide on how to tackle this year's Amazon Prime Day coming up this morning after sunrise, starting at 7 o'clock. All right, before we get to Rod's local weather update, we do want to give you an update on some wildfires burning in Oregon. Evacuation orders remain in place for several campgrounds around the Boulder fire. So this fire broke out Saturday, just southeast of Mount Hood near the Boulder Lake trailhead in Wasco County. The latest estimate puts this fire at about 100 acres. Meanwhile, crews have made a lot of progress on the Tunnel 5 fire in Skamania County. It's now 80% contained, big improvement from last week. This one burned more than 500 acres. Evacuation orders in that area have been downgraded. They're now at level 1, which means people in the area should be ready to go if needed. But we know last week they were at level 3. So again, a lot of improvement there for the Tunnel 5 fire. And now we bring in Rodney Hill.
And renewed concern this morning of possible fire starts from lightning strikes overnight and still continuing in parts of our state. And that's where I begin. Take a look at radar this morning. And we've got the lightning detection turned on. Again, the main lightning threat at this hour has moved east of the Dalles, but this is going to continue pushing eastward in the coming couple of hours. So we did have some rain in the gorge overnight and some rain over that boulder fire that's burning southeast of Mount Hood. Now, because of a combination of potential fire starts from the lightning I just showed you, and then dry but gusty west winds coming this afternoon, everything in red, which includes Hood River, the Dalles out to the Columbia Basin, under a red flag warning for high fire danger today. And this afternoon, west winds will be blowing 30 to 40 miles per hour. Futurecast shows a pretty consistent wind. Here we are, 8:30 this morning. Hood River to the Dalles gusting 34, 37 miles per hour. Numbers really don't vary much. There's a 40 mile per hour wind in the Dalles at 5 p.m. this afternoon. So all eyes will be watching that area. Now here on the west side, now notice at 8:30, Futurecast is really aggressive on moving that lightning out. It is expected to be a dry, becoming sunny afternoon for those of you that are hearing the rumbles of thunder this morning. Here on the west side, we have this solid push of low marine clouds. Notice how they bank up against Mount Hood. So you begin your Monday. It could be some traces of moisture that you feel being squeezed out of the cloud deck. I want you to realize it's still overcast and not hot at noon. We'll only be in the 60s because of the solid cloud cover, and this does extend up and down I-5, Salem, Portland, and Vancouver. Then later today, some partial clearing potentially, but some areas could stay cloudy. I do not expect a lot of sun here on the west side today, period. And that'll keep high temperatures in the 70s. Here we are right now. Out the door, light winds, cloudy skies, 61 in Portland. Again, maybe if you're going out for a run, you feel a little bit of mist out there in the air in some spots. 60 up in Kelso under the clouds, 54 in Newport, 72 out in Pendleton right now. Forecast numbers, the coast not expected to clear. In fact, patchy drizzle, a continuing chance. Your temperatures today only in the 60s. And here in the valley, we talked about some partial clearing, but not a lot of sun coming. Salem 76, and then I think at least parts of southwest Washington up into Cowlitz County probably stay overcast. Only 69 up in Longview. We get some afternoon sun tomorrow, 80. We're back in the morning clouds Wednesday, 77, and then we go hot. I have 94 Saturday, 94 on Sunday, and that's your forecast, Drew.
I'll tell you where else it's hot, Rod. Maybe not right at this moment because we're still in the overnight hours, but it's going to be hot today in Las Vegas. And the basketball action hot on the court both yesterday and later today. So Orlando Sanchez flew down to Vegas for the Blazers Summer League action. And he woke up early this morning to give us a report on a lot of things, from the fans that went to check out the action to the latest on Scoot Henderson, Dame Lillard, Jeremy Grant. Oh, Orlando, we got you coming up next, pal. Be ready. Right back after this.